We're gonna cast Unburial Rites, get back Elish Norn. We attack. You do this, then we trigger this, +1/+1 counter on all of this. Alright, it's Vex. And today we have a new commander deck tech. Sidar Jabari of Zhalfir. That's right, this is a Esper Knights deck. 1 white, blue, red. So Esper color, legendary creature, human knight. And they did it. They reprinted the mechanic Eminence, one of the most broken mechanics in Commander. Except for this one's not as broken. Whenever you attack with 1 or more knights, if Sidar Jabari of Zhalfir is in the command zone or on the battlefield, draw a card, then discard a card. And no, that is not a May ability, so you have to draw and discard. So if they have Necrozar or Waste Not, then bam, you get hurt. It is what it is, because that's happened to me. Flying, first strike. This is a flying knight, which is super cool. Whenever Sidar Jabari deals combat damage to a player, so this is when you have it on the battlefield, which doesn't happen very often, but can happen. Return target knight creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. So, what are we talking about here? First, we're talking about having all your tokens. Of course, it isn't a Vex deck tech if I didn't talk about having all your tokens with the deck list in the description below. All right, enough of that. This deck wants you to have one thing, knights. Essentially, this is a knight creature type deck, because whenever a knight attacks, you loot, and then when Sidar Jabari is on the battlefield, deals combat damage, you reanimate a knight. So it's knights and reanimator. And if you've been with my channel for a long time, you know I've done a Queen Marchesa deck tech that has this exact theme, knights and a light reanimator package. So it's really cool to take all those cards and pour it over to Sidar Jabari. I hope I'm saying it right. If I'm not, correct me in the comments. Sidar Jabari of Zhalfir, and minus the red plus the blue. It's also really cool to have a card with Eminence that isn't broken like Edgar Markov or the Dragon and such. There are probably tons of deck techs on YouTube with this one with Knights. However, we are going a little harder on Reanimator, just like our Marchesa deck did. With that being said, let's get right into the deck list. Deck list in the description below if you want to check it out. The first card we have, Hakan, Stormgold Scourge. This is actually in the precon. 1 black, legendary creature, zombie, knight. This is the card that ties both themes together, Knights and Reanimator. Here, you may only cast this card from your graveyard, nowhere else, not even your hand. You have to discard to Sidar's ability to get into the graveyard, then you can cast it. And then, as long as it's on the battlefield, you may play knight cards from your graveyard. That is super cool, so you can just reanimate all your knight cards by casting them from your graveyard. Then when this is put in your graveyard from play, from the battlefield, you lose 2 life. So this ties everything together. You discard Hakan, you play from the graveyard, then you play everything else from the graveyard. So, let us talk about the Reanimator package we have with Hakan. Right? The card you see a lot in Reanimator is Buried Alive. I don't have Entomb because I feel like it's clunky. I can use Sidar's ability to just loot through the deck and get things in the graveyard naturally. So, Buried Alive will get you 3 cards into the graveyard for 3 mana. So it's kind of like almost like a draw 3. You get Hakan, right? Cast from the graveyard. Usually, Hakan will give you a Crib Swap. Crib Swap is a tribal instant shapeshifter, so it is a knight card. And I've been using this for like over a decade in Commander. 2 white, tribal instant shapeshifter, changeling. This card's every creature type. Exile target creature. Its controller creates a 1/1 colorless shapeshifter creature token with changeling. So you play this, goes to your graveyard, play it again with Hakan, play it again with Hakan, just keep playing it over and over again. So this is a removal spell that is a knight per se. So you bury alive these 2 cards. Then you have other options, right? You can do Unburial Rites, which is a card that says return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield with a flashback cost. So you could put it in the graveyard and play the flashback cost and get something back right away. So you have these 2 as one combo. You have Unburial Rites plus the fatty. Let's talk about these fatties. These are non-knight fatties. Right there, we have 2 Praetors. Shieldred, the Whispering One, Elish Norn. Also in my Marchesa deck. Right there, these are insane Praetors and have Archon of Cruelty. Right here, this is flying, costs 8 total mana. Whenever it enters the battlefield or attacks, target opponent sacrifices a creature or planeswalker, discards a card, loses 3 life, you draw a card, and you gain 3 life. So these are fatties that you can get with Buried Alive. So what you could do is either get these 2 cards and on Burial Rites to get something back from your graveyard if you already have fatty in there. If you don't have a fatty, you can Buried Alive on Burial Rites. You know, let's say your opponent's playing a lot of tokens, you could get Elesh Norn. Then you can maybe just get Hakan like that. And then eventually, hopefully, you get Crib Swap. So stuff like that. You got all these combinations of cards to do with Buried Alive. Now, if let's say you don't have Buried Alive, then you just have these fatties here in your hand. You could just discard them naturally, right there. Then you could use this reanimation spell, like Unburied Rites from your hand, and just cast it naturally. If you attack with Sidar, you don't get to reanimate these things because they aren't knights. So these have to be reanimated the hard way. We have other reanimation spells, like the original Reanimate here, which you can do. Or you can just reanimate a regular knight too. Remember, these cards don't have to go with fatties. They can just go with regular knights. So you can keep this Sidar in your command zone. Because the idea is you play a bunch of knights, do some looting, do some attacking, eventually play Sidar when you have a clear window, because it has flying first strike, and boom, get a reanimate there. We have Sylvain's Reclamation to get small things back. That can also work from the graveyard, has flashback. So that's pretty neat. We have Agadeem's Awakening, Mold double face card, get things back from the graveyard. So a light reanimation theme. It isn't very heavy reanimation theme, but it is one because you are discarding. Then we have our Knight's Charge. So this is night only reanimation spell. Got too excited there. Started slurring my words, but we're back on track. Whenever a knight you control attacks, each opponent loses 1 life, you gain 1 life, so a little drainage. Then you pay 8, sack it. Return all knight creature cards from your graveyard to the battlefield. So this works really, really well with Sidar. And also, I forgot to mention one problem with Sidar is that you are drawing a discarding. I know players, beginners, have a hard time discarding. So just practice with your deck. Do some gold fishing, which we'll get to in this video, of just drawing a card, seeing what you want, discard right away, so you don't take up a lot of table time. Because I've seen some people actually play this pre-con, and they take up a lot of table time trying to think of what to discard. And you know, we're trying to play casual here and not take up too much of everybody's time. So just remember, draw a discard as quick as possible. Let us move this reanimation package out of the way and get to the knight package. First, we have the Lords. These are knights that buff or do something with other knights. We have a brand new knight, Marshal of Zhalfir. So this is a dude that helps your commander. White, blue. Other knights you control get +1/+1. That's a really good rate for a 2/2 gold. Then you have white, blue, tap another target creature. Helps you get into the red zone. So pumps your knights, helps you tap down blockers, get into the red zone. Then we have some classic Lords right here. Kinsbale, I don't know how to pronounce it, Cavalier. Knight creatures you control have double strike, including itself. One of the rare ones that affect itself. Valiant Knight. Other knight creatures you control get +1/+1. For 3 white, everybody gets double strike, including itself. So there we go. And Knight Exemplar. First strike, other knights you control get +1/+1 and are indestructible. So it's a very important knight to find, Knight Exemplar, because you can just get into the red zone and not worry about your stuff dying. Now, this is an attack trigger, so it has 2 triggers. One is attack trigger, one's on combat damage. So just remember, this is an attack trigger, and it's Eminence, so you don't have to have it on the battlefield. So if you just attack with a random knight, you could trigger Sidar, and it's worded in a way where it only triggers once, not like per player. Some cards says for each player, do something, so you can do it 3 times, up to 3 times. But this is just once. The next Lord we have is another new Lord, Vidalian Wave Knight, 2 white, blue. This is insane. This is super insane knight. It doesn't read insane, but it is insane. Trust me. Merfolk Knight. It's a Merfolk Lord and a Knight Lord, which is kind of cool. Whenever you draw a card, including the one you draw from your turn, put +1/+1 counter on each other Merfolk and or Knight you control. It's a 3/3. So the cool part is you draw a card for turn, put counters on everything, attack, trigger Sidar, put counters on every, draw a card and discard, put counters on everything again. So you get 2 counters per turn if you do Sidar's ability, possibly more if you draw more cards from other means. So your knight army gets huge fast. This is like a knight version of Cathar's Crusade. Now, the next card is Extinguinator Cavalry. Not quite a full Lord, but I consider a Lord because 2 black, menace, lifelink. Wherever knight you control deals combat damage to a player. So each knight, put a +1/+1 counter on that creature and create a blood token. So essentially, helps pump your knights that have connected. So a really cool card. This is in the Commander Precon. At this point in the deck tech, I want to take a little intermission. I know the Commander Precon is extremely strong. And to be honest, I think the Commander Precon is just as strong as this deck, even though this deck has cool cards like Cyclonic Rift and such, because the Precon is very focused on Knights. Here, we're doing a split focus because, we want to do something more interesting than the Precon. Not necessarily more powerful, just a little more interesting, which I think is cool to just deviate a little bit and do your own flavor on things. And I definitely recommend, to if you love the Knights, just add more Knights or add more really strong Knights. I know Kingsblade Cavalier I always call it Kingsblade Cavalier for some reason. Is not in the deck. This is recently spiked, but this is a really strong card. Just add Knights to your liking, and add things. Reanimator, like I added Reanimator because I liked it. So definitely love Commander because it lets you just express yourself in a very fun and flavorful way. Our token generating Knights. Some things generate Knights. Most things generate Knights. Some things don't generate Knights. Let's talk about the two things that don't generate Knights. Tricked you there. Hero of Bladehold. They're all Knights. So at base level, if you attack with Hero of Bladehold, it's a Knight and triggers Sidar. 2 white, Battle Cry. Whenever this creature attacks, each other attacking creature gets +1/+0. That is in the Precon. Then whenever it attacks, put 2 1/1 white soldier creature tokens into the battlefield tapped and attacking. So you can stack these triggers where these come in first, then the Battle Cry happens. So there are 2 1s tapped and attacking. Like that, but it is a Knight, Hero Bladehold. Then you have Adeline, Resplendent Cathar. Oh, this card is so powerful. 1 white, Vigilance. Powers equal to the number of creatures you control. When you attack, each opponent, whenever you attack, for each opponent, not each opponent gets, create a 1/1 white human creature token that's tapped and attacking that player or a planeswalker they control. So it gets added control there with Adeline. Then you have the Knight Makers here. Well, sorry. Elenda. This Elenda doesn't make Knight tokens, but is a Knight itself. I just really like Elenda. It's not very optimum, but I really like her, so I just add her in there. When a creature dies, put a +1/+1 counter on it. Has lifelink, so it can get really big and get into the red zone. That's why I really like her. When she dies, create X 1/1 white vampire creature tokens with lifelink, where it's X is Elenda's power. Okay, now to Knight token generators. Right here we have Jasu Vest. 4 mana and Menace. It does nothing else if you play it for 4 mana. 4 mana, 4/5 Menace. But if you pay 4 mana, then the kicker cost, then it comes with 8 2/2 black Zombie Knight creature tokens. So it comes with 9 Knights if you play kicker cost. And yes, I've seen it kicked many times. 10 mana, and I've kicked it many times. 10 mana for 9 creatures is pretty darn good. Next up is our classics. Right there, another for Dominaria. Ariel, Knight of Windgrace, 2 white, black, Vigilance. That's it for base rate, but you get pay 2 and a white, create a dude. Black and white, tap X Knights you control, destroy target creature with power X or less. So very good removal. That might also go in the removal section when I get there. Then Silver Wing Squadron, Flying Vigilance. Flying, I love that evasiveness. Helps with the Sidar's ability. 5 white. Its power and toughness are each equal to the number of creatures you control. This includes toughness, unlike Adeline, which has 4 toughness right there. And then when it attacks, create a number of 2/2 white Knight creature tokens with Vigilance equal to the number of opponents you have. There you go. So this makes 2/2s, this makes 1/1s. So you get some good spread there. Then we have a new card, which I had to play over and over again to figure out what it does, because it's confusing. 3 white, blue, black. Flying War 2. War 2 is important. And it's flying, even though it looks like she's just standing on the ground. But I guess Azure flies. Elenda does not fly. I'm surprised it doesn't have lifelink, because Elenda has lifelink. When Elenda and Azure attack, you may pay X, white, blue, black. If you do, draw X cards. That's an attack trigger. So you get to do that and draw X cards. And then at the beginning of each end step, you may pay 4 life. If you do, create a number 1/1 black Vampire Knight creature tokens with lifelink equal to the number of cards you've drawn this turn. So at base rate, if you draw your card, if you attack, you've drawn 2 cards. You can pay 4 life, make 2 little black Vampire Knight tokens. If you've done the Sphinx's Revelation mode, the X white, blue, black, draw card, then you can make tons of tokens, just measly 4 life. Definitely worth doing. You can make up to 10 tokens, or X amount of tokens, depending on how much you've paid mana into. So these is really good cards. So these are your token generators there. This is the card advantage, card draw section. Hakan is a card advantage engine if you play him right. So he's in there. No need to go over him again. We have Knight or the White Orchid. Can get you lands. Claim Contender is very wordy, but can get you a Knight from the top of your library if you have another Knight. Midnight Reaper gets you card draw when things die. And of course, things are going into the red zone. They're dying. And sometimes you want things to die, so you can reanimate them. We have the Adventure Knights, Order of Midnight, Falmir Knight, which you could play for the adventure side. Cast a spell. Right there. Profane Insight is an instant, draw a card, lose a life. Pretty easy. Or 1/1 Death Touch. Pretty neat. This gets you a card back from your graveyard, which, we're dumping in there easily. So it's a little card advantage, Alter Fate's card advantage engine right there. Then you can have a 2/2 flying that can't block. So adventure cards are sweet. We have Cavalier of Gales. ETB, do a little brainstorm. When it dies, scry 2 here. Unfortunately, this shuffles itself into its owner's library, so you can't really reanimate it very easily, unless you discard it, but if it dies naturally, I'm saying. Locthwain Lancer, this is kind of like Midnight Reaper, 4 black. Menace, whenever a non-token knight you control dies, each opponent loses 1 life and you draw a card. So this is you lose a life, draw a card. This is they all lose a life, you draw a card. So this is really good in the drain situation there. So some good card advantage knights. We do have some utility knights. I consider battle combat type knights that affect combat. We have Herald of Hoofbeats. I can't believe they printed this card. Oh, you know what? I should just believe they'll print any card. So at this point, 3 whites. Horsemanship. Wow, can't believe I've seen that. Other knights you control have horsemanship. And horsemanship says, this creature can't be blocked. Just ignore the rest of the text. Except by creatures with horsemanship, basically can't be blocked. If you're in a knight mirror match and you have 2 of these Hoof of Horsebeats, or that one 3 portals blue card that does horsemanship, then you can block. But basically these makes everything unblockable. Insane. Then we have our Wintermoor Knight. Toughness equal to number of knights. Then when you attack, something else gets indestructible, another knight. Then we have Black Lance Paragon, gives some knights Death Touch. So you can do somebody blocks your thing, you just flash this in, bam, Death Touch, be like, ha, gotcha. Guardian of the Faith. When it enters battlefield, any number of other target creatures you control phase out. Save yourself on board wipe. Yes, I know. You flash in Guardian of Faith, then Guardian of Faith phase everything out. Then you can it dies. But it's like a protection spell, or it could be a knight. You can flash in, save somebody from a single targeted removal spell, then have a knight to attack next turn. Changeling Outcast, one of my favorite knights. It is a changeling. It can't block and cannot be blocked, so you can just attack freely. I've had Changeling Outcast on turn 1 and just jammed in and Sidar'd the entire game. They didn't respect it enough, and they learned their lesson quickly. The funny part is we are in black, and black does give us a little gain and drain. All these cards are black. We've talked about Knight's Charge, Locthwain Lancers, but we have these 2 new cards I haven't talked about. Smitten Swordsmith, another adventure card. It's a on rate, 1 black, lifelink 2/1, so not too bad. Then you play a Curry Favor for 1 black mana, so this can get people out of nowhere. You gain X life, and each opponent loses X life for X number of knights you control. So if you go wide with all your tokens and such, you could do gain 10, deal 10 to each opponent, kill them. It's pretty neat. I don't know why I put this card back, but Corpse Knight, where another creature enters a battlefield under your control, even tokens. You gotta read these cards carefully, right? Each opponent loses 1 life. So it's really cool. It's a zombie knight, and it's any creatures, not just knights. So again, read these things carefully. This is, when a knight you control attacks, drain. This is the cool or boring section, depends on how you look at it. We have our 2 cards we've seen before, and then we have more Cavaliers, right? Now we have the black and white one. The black one does remove creatures and has a very restricted mana cost, 2 black by black. Lifelink. When it ETBs, you may sacrifice another creature, maybe a little token you don't care about, or something you want to reanimate, of course. When you do, destroy a target creature and opponent controls. So pretty cool. When it dies, return target creature card with mana value cost 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. A little reanimation right there. And then Cavalier of Dawn, which I think is insane. When ETB destroys up to 1 target non-land permanent, even creatures, it controllers makes a 3/3 colorless golem artifact creature token. Not too bad, but it's just like a little beast within. Really cool. And then when it dies, return target artifact or enchantment card from your graveyard to your hand. That's not as important because you don't have as many artifact or enchantments, but you are discarding things to Sidar. So that is very helpful there. We have Aethersworn Adjudicator. This is in the pre-con too, as I've seen this thing in action. It is crazy. 4 blue, flying, 1 white, black. Tap, destroy target creature or enchantment. Yes, it is as good as you think it is, because if you let this thing untap, it's going to machine gun down everything. Then if you have tons of mana, 2 blue, untap it. So if you have 9 total mana, you could, boom, destroy, untap, boom, destroy. So it is as good as you think it is. Very good there. We have Murder's Rider. On right here is 1 black, lifelink. When it dies, put it into the bottom of its owner's library, so you just put it back. No reanimation, but you don't really want to reanimate anyways. You want to destroy. You want to use the Swift End, 1 black, like a murder. Destroy target creature or planeswalker, you lose 2 life. So it's very good. It's like 2 for 1 deal. Speaking about removal, we have our just classic non-knight removal, but sometimes you got to remove things. Swords of Plowshares, Angels Are Making, good single target removal. Cyclonic Rift, single target, or you know what it does. Toxic Deluge, Farewell, Kindred Dominance. These are all standard cards, these 5. We have Kindred Dominance, 5 black. Choose a creature type. Destroy all creatures that aren't of the chosen type. Knight. Always choose Knight. Unless you want to destroy everything, including your stuff, and maybe get it back with Knight's Charge or whatever. You can choose a different creature type, but usually choose Knights. We're getting towards the end, and you know what? I consider card draw very important, and now my philosophy has changed a little bit over time. If you see my deck text, I used to have a lot of ramp. Now I have more card draw, so I can just play lands every turn and try not to miss land drops. So other than the card draw that's stapled upon Knights, we have other card draw mechanisms that we have here. Council of 4. This actually isn't a Knight, but a Knight adjacent card. I should have just put a Knight token generator. But 3 blue, white blue, Legendary creature, human noble. When a player draws their second card during their turn, you draw a card, which happens a lot. Trust me. When a character casts their second spell during their turn, create a Knight. So this is 0/8, can block almost anything. Very hard to kill in combat. And then it just makes tokens and draws you cards. Then you have Distant Melody. I love this in the creature type decks. 3 in a blue. Choose a creature type. Draw a card for each permanent you control of that type, including anything that says tribal with on it. But we don't have any of those. So you draw 10 cards with Knights. This is insane card draw when you're playing those types of decks and you're in blue. This is what blue gives us. Vanquisher's Banner. This is a Lord Anthem effect. When ETBs choose a creature type, then they get +1/+1. Then when you cast a Knight, draw a card. That's insane. Kindred Discovery. Right there, 3 blue. Essentially, when you cast that Knight, draw a card. Or when it attacks, draw a card. So it's insane. And yes, you are in a deck that wants to attack. So naturally, you can draw tens of cards by casting Knights, attacking with Knights. We have a new card here, Chivalric Alliance, 1 white. I find this card to be very, very good. Whenever you attack with 2 or more creatures, draw a card. That's very good. Pay 2, discard a card, create a white-blue Knight creature token with Vigilance. So you can discard your fatty, then reanimate it. Naturally, if you don't have a good attack with Sidar, you just want to churn through your deck a lot. The reason I like this deck a lot, because you do churn through your deck. That's why you pay fewer removal spells, more Knights, fewer other utility spells, so you can just go through your deck. I recommend when you do Sidar's ability to try to hold on to more Knights and discard other etc. things. I know it sucks to discard a Council of 4 or Black Market Connection, but it's usually better to keep the Knights. These 2 things I wouldn't discard unless because they provide insane card flow. But stuff that provides slow card flow, like Council of 4, maybe Council of 4, not floor, land tax and such, or Black Market Connection, which are slower card advantage, I wouldn't be afraid discarding. Now, speaking of those cards, we have land tax. I could consider this a more of a card draw because you don't ramp. You just draw 3 cards. It's like an Ancestral Recall. 1 white mana, draw 3 lands, which you can discard all to Sidar's ability. Very good in this deck. They have Black Market Connection. This does make a Shapeshifter, which is a Knight, which I love. Black Market Connection, these creature type decks. And you can draw a card and make treasure. So it does a little everything, ramp, card draw. It makes a Knights, which I really like. As I previously mentioned, I reducing the ramp. I'm not taking out all the good ramp like Soul Ring, Arcane Signet, but I'm reducing ramp, having more card draw, so I could just always play a land every turn. Because I've seen so many people ramp so hard, they cultivate the Kadamas Reach, and then they're just like, I missed the land drop. And I'd rather just not have that, just draw more cards. Of course, this commander does help with the filtering, and I put a high land count in there too. I don't mind discarding lands, so this commander makes going through your deck, playing your deck very smooth. You always have cards, you always have things to do, you always discard extra lands if you don't need them. Really like. So we have Sword of the Animus and Herald's Horn. I like Sword of the Animus because it's cheap. We want to get on the board early, attack with our knights. This can help us ramp with those knights that we attack with. Then we have Herald's Horn. ETB, choose knights, of course. Knights cost 1 less to cast, so it's like a ramp for your knight spells. It does a little card draw too. At the beginning of your upkeep, look at the top card of your library. If it's a knight card, you may reveal it and put it in your hand, so you kind of draw a knight if it's a top card. And last but least, we do have some utility cards. Not a lot, actually, which is kind of cool because this knight deck's full of on-theme cards, packed to the brim with cool cards. But we have our Soul Guide Lantern for graveyards, which I really do enjoy. And then we have our finisher, Chroma's Will, right there. And then Wonder, which is insane. I've loved this card so much in the deck. If any upgrade is your first upgrade of the deck, put in a Wonder. You don't want to cast it. You just want to play it, discard it, make everything flying. So it says whenever, as long as Wonder is in your graveyard and you control an island, creatures you control have flying. So flying knights, even though your commander is naturally flying, makes them very evasive. A lot of decks can't deal with flyers, so that is wonderful in this deck. That's upgrade number 1 I recommend for any deck. The mana base is pretty simple and straightforward. We have our 4-colored lands, including Path of Ancestry, which is insanely good in these creature-type decks. Our Battle Bond lands, Shock lands. We have our Modal Double Face card lands. I really like these sometimes, and I think they're really cool in this deck. They work out. We do have a high land count. Our primary colors are white, then black, then blue. Blues are lower color need necessity. So we have our channel lands from Neon Dynasty. Then we have our black utility lands, Orborg, Bojuka Bog, Shizo. Shizo helps our commander or any legendary creature gets through because it gives them fear. The utility lands are pretty simple. We have Mirrored Landscape to just help us ramp some more. Rogue's Passage to get us through the red zone. Vault of Archangel, through the red zone again, gives us lifelink, Death Touch. Thespian Stage, Vesuva. I really like. I have Vesuva to Path of Ancestry and Scribe twice per night cast, which is really good. Thespian Sage, somebody else's Mirrored Landscape when I didn't have one, help ramp. Very good cards here. Then we have our lands. A lot of white because this deck requires a lot of white. Some black, some blue. That is the deck tech. If you enjoyed this video so far, give the video a thumbs up, smash subscribe button, hit notification bell to be alerted for new videos in the future. Right now, we're going to shuffle this Knights deck up. Then we're going to do a little gold fishing. But before you do a little gold fishing, check out the deck list in the description below. Check it out. I love it. This deck is super fun. I love the double theme because sometimes, you go straight Knights, and then you see everybody doing the same thing. It's like, been there, done that, but now we go Knights Reanimator. Love it. And this also reminds me of my Marchesa deck. I think it's pronounced Marchesa, not Marchesa, even though I said Marchesa a million times in my deck tech. I made that like almost 3 years ago. It's one of my first deck techs. I think it's pretty cool. And it's cool part, I just took a bunch of cards, like maybe like 50, 60 cards from that deck and just poured it right over because they had reanimation theme as well too. So I think it's pretty neat. It's pretty neat to have another commander for the deck that you like. The reason it was a Knights deck because Marchesa's the queen. Like it wasn't really like she had nothing to do with Knights. Marchesa, I should say. But Sidar is now a Knight commander, a leader of Knights, which is pretty cool. All right. Anyways, I'm going to shuffle this deck up, and we'll be right back. All right. We are back. Turn 1 as always. Sidar Jabari of Zhalfir. Let's see what you got for me. Right here. I forgot to ask the viewers, do you prefer me holding my hand like this so you can see it, or do you prefer just down here, right there, so you can always see it? Tell me in the comments below, because I really don't know if this has been working and this hasn't been working. Yeah, so just tell me. All right, anyways, I'm going to try this, continue this for March of Machines, maybe Lord of the Rings, I'm going to change it up a little bit. We'll see. All right, my first 7 cards, excellent. Black, and it looks like just a Orzhov deck because there's no blue mana, blue lands, or blue cards, which is great. We do have Unbarrow Not unburial rights, buried alive, changing outcast, Cavalier of Night, Knight of the White Orchid. So very good cards. Got turn 1 play, turn 2 ramp if we're not playing first. Then have buried alive to get our little reanimation targets. This to poke in to start doing our little draw thing. So this thing is really cool. Board to get our triple black for Cavalier of Night. So everything is starting to come online really well. Let's draw a card here. Adeline Resplendent Cathar. That works really well because we can actually play that. Let's play our Orborg. Help everybody out with black mana. Okay, we're going to cast our Changeling Outcast. So I actually had to re-record this because I messed up. But to be honest, Knight of the White Orchid, playing on turn 2 doesn't really ramp you unless somebody's ramped already. Let's say hypothetically, we're not playing against a lot of ramp decks. Playing this on turn 3 then would be very helpful. We did do a mistake here. I'm going to talk about Urborg. We should have played Godless Shrine, shock it in. So we could play this on turn 3 without playing our third land. So let's pretend that happened here. Turn 2. Otawara. So it was really good. Get our blue. We weren't really worried about blue because we had Sidar and Changing Outcast. So that really is not a big issue for us. We do not have a turn 2 play unless we want to play a regular Knight of the White Orchid without ramp. But I think... Is the ramp important? It depends. You got to assess the situation. I think it is important enough where we'll just attack, right? Trigger. We'll draw a card, see what we get. Land. Then we will discard a card. I think we will discard Otawara because we're just going to play our Hollow Fountain. It's got more colors, so it's better. Okay. Pass the turn 3. Turn 3, we draw a card, draw planes. So here, do we want to ramp? Do we not want to ramp or play Adeline? So we're either playing from behind. I think ramping is important too, even though I said ramp's not important, but I do have a ramp piece here. So what I'll do is just cast this piece of ramp and get to our thing faster. So I want to cast it before I attack because I don't want to draw it. I know deck thinning is not really a statistical thing, but it could happen, So it can get planes and get non-basic planes like Rafine's Tower. We do have the other non-basic planes in our hands. Godless Shrine, Hollow Fountain already. So we only have a planes or a Rafine's Tower left. And I think that's a foily card. So let us look for this. Oh, it's right there. Last card. We'll get Rafine's Tower onto the battlefield. And then we will play our natural land for the turn. Before we play our natural land, let's actually do the attacking. Here, always remember to attack. And with Changing Outcast, you don't have to worry very much because they can't really block it. If they want to use their premium removal spell on a one drop, be my guest. Path to exile it, it'd be great. But then we'll just attack right there. Draw a card. Alenda and Azure. Do we keep that? I think we just discard this planes here, which is fine. Okay, that's cool. Then we play our natural land. Now I have four mana next turn, which is sweet. Then we pass the turn 4. Now again, depends on which players. If I were to play this on turn 2 just as a 2/2 first strike, then start the party and then play Adeline turn 3. But turn 4, we have Silverwing Squadron, so we get to that faster with our ramp. So maybe we made a good decision. Who knows? We don't have our 6 mana, but hopefully we can get it by using Sidar. So we'll play this. This allows us to do Cavalier of Night. So we'll attack here. Trigger Sidar's ability again, of course. Draw a card, Savine's Reclamation. That'd get back our land. I think discarding Savine's Reclamation is good right there. Then we have decisions, right? If we have need a creature to get rid of, we can play Cavalier of Night. If we want to double ramp, we could pay our 5 mana right there and cast Savine's Rec for these 2 cards right there. Return target permanent card with mana value 3 or less, which I have 2 permanent cards. And it's cast from the graveyard. I get to do it twice. So I think it just, again, depends on the texture of the game. I think what we want to do is, play Cavalier of Night, destroy something, or maybe not. Yeah, Cavalier of Night, destroy something. We can sack this Knight of the White Orchid. Right there, we can Savine's Rec it back. That's the cool part. destroy something, we pass the turn. Turn 5 here. Boom. We did not draw our land, so unfortunately, Silvering Squadron is no longer useful or castable, I guess. Now, we can cast Locthwain Lancer if we wanted to with Menace. See, we always got things to do. I love it. Or let's just attack first here. Trigger. We might draw a land. Hero of Bladehold, no land. So what we want to do is discard. We'll discard Hero of Bladehold. We want to cast our. Maybe not. Who knows? See, this is why I said think quickly, and I can't think quickly. So, I think we want to cast something this turn. It's either Locthwain Lancer or Adeline. I think this is most mana efficient. This can get things into the graveyard, start the party early. I wish I had the 6 mana, but sometimes that deck doesn't give it to you. So I'll discard Hero of Bladehold and play Locthwain Lancer right there. If I think somebody's on board, why I play Locthwain Lancer. If not, I'll discard Locthwain Lancer and play Hero of Bladehold. Let's just do that. That's our decision. Final offer. All right, turn 6 right here. We'll draw a card. Arcane Signet, a little late, but it's fine. Then again, we'll attack here. We can't attack. Trigger the Battle Cry. Trigger the Token Maker. Then the Battle Cry. Remember that. Soldiers tapped and attacking. And then everybody gets Battle Cry. Here, trigger Sidar from here. Oh, this is the amazing card right there. Okay, so we came here to the party, of course. We're just going to play Arcane Signet. We're going to play Buried Alive, of course. We came here to party. We're going to get, our usual fare. You can get Wonder into the graveyard, right? Make everything fly, which is probably a better idea to do it pre-combat. So we're going to get Wonder, make everything fly. We're going to get, let's see here. We'll get Elesh Norn. Yeah, we can go Hakan package, but we don't have a lot of mana to spend. So we'll just do Elesh Norn and Unburial Rites. Got Unburial Rites, so now I got Wonder, Elesh Norn, and Burial Rites in the graveyard. The fun part about it is that this deck requires a lot of decisions, which is really cool. You get to make tons of decisions. I could have Serene's Reclamation on turn 4, which I kind of regret I didn't, but that's what happens. I'm not going to rewind this again. We're going to go roll with the punches and learn. It's all about learning. So we did that. That is great and all. We got our master card right here, Voldarian Wave Knight. Then we pass the turn right here, assuming no one's board wiped us. Turn 7. Turn 7 again. What we want to do is we want to pre-combat. We do have Wonder. Everything's flying, which is great. We're going to cast Unburial Rites for its flashback cost of 4. So we're going to tap this for 4. We're going to get back Elesh Norn, wipe our opponent's board. Everything is flying because of Wonder, which is great. This is exiled. It's gone. Can't do it twice. That'd be broken, right? All right, so we have all these creatures. The funny part is I was so excited to even draw my card. Another Linda. Cool. We have this. Then we're going to declare our attacks here. Kaboom, kaboom. Make more dudes. Do this first, then Battle Cry first and make dudes. Right there. Oh, that's perfect. That's exactly what we needed. So we could play a 3-drop, so keeping this card. Sorry, Linda. You're out the door. We'll play this. We'll play Adeline. Kaboom. More creatures. Adeline's huge. Well, it's huge anyways because Elesh Norn. You just destroyed a bunch of tokens. So that is essentially how this deck works. It's really cool. And don't forget your Sidar triggers. I forget them all the time. Deck has a lot of decisions because you get to discard things, figure out what things are. If Wonder's in your hand, discard it. Buried Alive. I totally forgot in the deck tech that you can just get Wonder plus your Hakan Kristoff combo or Wander plus Unburial Rites Elesh Norn combo. I think that's really cool. You have next turn, right? Let's say we take a next turn, hypothetically, just for funsies. We take next turn here. We draw a card. That's a land. We love lands, actually. We'll play this land here. We'll play our Voldarian Wave Knight. Right there. We'll just tap all these cards. Our Wave Knight. Right there. We declare our attacks. Right? We attack. Attack. We stack all the triggers. We draw last. Right? We make creatures first. Here we make, 3 of these dudes attacking. Human dudes with pumpkins on top of their heads. Make some dudes attacking there. Then we do this. Draw a card. Rogue's Passage. I like that card, but we'll discard it. Then we trigger this +1/+1 counter on all of this things except for Elish Norn because she's not a knight, or these soldiers or humans. But on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, just pretty neat. You can't attack with this one either, but you know what I'm saying. Then you could pay your 4 mana and cast your commander because Eminence works on the battlefield or not. Sweet. See, you cast commander last because you got so many things to do. You still get the benefit of the commander. You can use the Eminence ability. If, let's say Voldarian Wave Knight dies. You have Wonder. You can connect with it, even though it has natural flying. Connect with it, bring it back, win. Anyways, that's all the time we have for today. I love this deck. It's super fun. I love having multi-dimensional deck, Knight and Reanimator. That brings me great joy. I hope everybody gets great joy. And thank you for watching this long. If you enjoyed the video so far, give the video a thumbs up, smash the subscribe button, hit the notification bell to be alerted for videos in the future. And as always, have a wonderful day.